Laurel and Prince, two individuals that I love like my own nephews, were obsessed about a particular show on Freeform that actually has a polyamorous relationship between the main characters. Freeform, which was actually a Disney channel. Like, not the Disney Channel, but it's actually a sister channel to the Disney Channel. And I was like, okay, number one, it's a polyamorous relationship. And number two, I ain't interested. And it just sounds like softcore porn of the eyes. But they reiterated to me multiple times that it's not about the polyamorous relationship. It's a lot more to it. And I was like, okay, this is just their own opinion. And then I end up getting comments that's from my 10 Things I Hate About Andy Mack video that I did about a year ago. And when I actually looked at those comments, I went back and watched the video. And that kind of made me think of Laurel. The fact that Laurel likes a show that's on Freeform that happens to be owned by Disney, it made me wonder if Disney is using the same tropes they use on Disney Channel or their Disney Channel shows for Siren. So I'm like, okay, I'm interested in actually watching the pilot and actually seeing what is going on. If they have the same tropes they use for their Disney Channel shows, or if it's a little different because it's on Freeform. So I decided to actually take them up on that challenge. I watched the pilot episode, or the season 1 episode of Siren. So this is my first time review of season 1's episode pilot of Siren. The biggest thumbs down that I have to say about this series is the fact that you had sea lions roaring like lions when Ren was there. No, we know what lion sounds like, y'all. Like, we're not stupid. Like, by no means are we stupid. So that was dumb in itself. But I will say this, for that scene, it shows me how the animals either fear the sirens or hate them. And I think that's what they were trying to emphasize. That the sea lions hate the sirens. Maybe because sirens are top predators. Seeing how at the very beginning of the actual episode, when Ben was on shore with a whole bunch of hippies, it pretty much shows that when we saw the shark head popping up out of the water, that these guys are top predators at where they are. If they can tear a head off of a mako shark, then they can pretty much devour a human. So it's or a sea lion for that matter. So I know what they were trying to emphasize in that scene, but the fact that they actually had a sea lion roar like a lion was unnecessary. I absolutely loved how they started this whole thing off. Like, I really did think that starting it off on the boat, not really knowing exactly what these sirens look like, having them kind of slither all the way through like they're predators out of a net of fish. I think it was pretty cool that we didn't really get the reveal of what they looked like at that point. And the fact that we know how sharp their tail is and how vicious they can be by actually pretty much lacerating one of the fishermen. This shows how powerful that they are. But of course we have the omniscient people of the sky. Like, I don't know. We have the omniscient military that seems to know everything before everybody knows it. And they're coming out of nowhere in a helicopter to take the siren away, without them actually revealing it is a siren. So I think that it was an amazing way on how they handled the possible vision of the siren. They allowed you to think on what the siren looked like. They kind of made you picture what the siren looked like before we actually had the reveal. Now, I'm going to go into just be a complete... I'm just going to be honest about this. I love the design of the sirens. I thought that they looked like fish people, because my biggest gripe that I had before watching this show was that they were going to look like Ariel. Like, I did not want them at all to look like Ariel. I want them to look like fish people because they are sirens. That is what I wanted. I wanted fish people. I did not want mermaids that look like Ariel, and I didn't get that, and that made me extremely happy. And I'm happy that they stuck to the trope on what sirens can do. From what I have learned from my old wise tales and old fish lore, that sirens, they have a siren song, but this song can actually drive a sailor mad, either to their own death, cause them to do murder, obsession with the siren, to look for the siren until they die. There is some horrid tales about a siren. It's nothing peachy and beautiful and wonderful like how the Little Mermaid portrays it. And there is differences between a siren and a mermaid. This is not anything that was reiterated on the show. This is just research that I have done because I wanted to know the difference between a mermaid and a siren. The reason why I wanted to know, because in the opening of the show, they had, well, after the credits rolled, they had a festival. They had a mermaid festival that they have every year that the Pownals kind of put all together for the townsfolk of, I think it's Bristol Cove, Washington. They have this every year, and they have a mermaid exactly the same design as Ariel, but with blonde hair. So I was like, okay, this show is called Siren, but people are having a mermaid festival. So there is a difference between a siren and a mermaid. So that's why I did research. I ended up finding out that sirens are predatory. Just like they said towards the end of the show, and I know I'm jumping all over the place, that when you're in the water, just like a shark, you are the prey. So sirens are very predatory. They're incredibly strong. They can tear you into pieces, and they are not out to fall in love with you, while mermaids actually use their song to seduce you. But sirens can do the exact same thing, but they do it for other means. They are predatory, and they are very dominant. So there is a difference between a siren and a mermaid. So this is nothing like the mermaid Ariel that people are anticipating. This is fish people. Sirens are out to, pretty much they're out to slit your throat. But let's get into the characters here. We kind of learn a lot about the main characters in such short ways that I think it was still very well done. We learned a lot about Ben and about the fact that Ben's family has a huge history in the town of Bristol Cove. I think that Ben is an oceanographer. He's very heavily focused, or a marine biologist, and he's heavily focused on the ocean and what's in the ocean and how it works, and that he's not going to live the same life that his family wants him to live, especially dating Maddie. And we learned a little bit about Maddie as well. Now, at this time, we know that her mom's name is Susan, but we don't know what she looks like. And it looks like that Maddie is Native American, possibly biracial. That I don't really know. I have not really seen. I know after looking at IMDb, I ended up finding out who her mom really is. And I know the actress's name and I just bit my lip. I know the actress's name and I know what she looks like. So I know from that point that she is biracial because I did a little bit more research. But at this point, we don't know much more about the mom. We know the mom left 8 years ago, and we know they kind of made Maddie a little sour. So, but her dad still has. He's kind of a hopeless optimist. But you got to appreciate somebody like that does whatever he can for his daughter. Well, at least that's what I get. I don't know. He seems like he's a hopeless optimist that's hoping for his ex-wife to actually remain safe wherever she is. And let's just say it doesn't really hit home with Maddie. But the sad part is when it comes to Maddie and Ben is the type of guy that wants to go his own way. But it seems to me that the relationship between Maddie and Ben was doomed to fail from the very beginning. Even though I'm not going to say they don't have chemistry, they have chemistry as colleagues, but as intimate partners, no. As a relationship, no, they don't. It seems to me that they don't have as much chemistry as people want them to have. It looks like their relationship was doomed to fail, mainly because of the fact that his family is not really so keen on her, and also the fact that if he was so defiant about who he dates, then he wouldn't have any problem in telling his family about Maddie. But it seems like he kept Maddie a secret. or it just doesn't really talk about his relationships with his parents. So that kind of shows me right then and there, when a guy doesn't really want to talk much about you to his colleague, not just so much his colleagues, but people that he respects, because even though he disagrees with his mom as well as his dad, he still respects him in a small way. I mean, I don't know. I can't really assume that. I'm just going to go by the context of the actual show. The fact that he doesn't really tell his parents anything about Maddie kind of shows me that that relationship was not meant to last. And seeing how he said, oh, you always like the wild girls, it looks like he has a strong relationship with his mom. Even though he doesn't like his dad much, it looks like he has a strong relationship with his mom. And she ended up finding out through the grapevine that he was dating Maddie. So that shows me right then and there that he has a respect for his mom, but he's not comfortable enough to talk about Maddie around her. Which shows that, yeah, if you reach that point in your relationship to where you're dating and you have to keep that a secret from somebody you care about, especially a family member that you respect and care about, then that relationship's doomed to fail. So I don't really see it going forward, like, at all from this. There's a lot of foreshadowing here. But when it comes to actual Forbidden and Maddie, I don't really see that relationship lasting. And that was kind of foreshadowing from the actual pilot. But let's move on to Ren, because Ren was the most interesting character of the show. I loved what they did with Ren. Since Ren is a siren, she's not going to know how to speak English. She's not going to have the same language as everyone else. They kind of sound like whales. They actually do have some sort of communication that's like whale song underwater. But outside of the actual ocean, outside on land, it sounds like an actual woman's voice, like a hypnotizing voice. But in the water, it sounds like a whale call. I will say that when I think it was Harry Potter, and was it Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix? When they had that tournament, I cannot remember if it was. But I think that that's what Harry had to deal with when he had that egg and he put that egg underwater. It sounded like, but it was in reverse. Outside, it sounded like a wailing screech, but in the water, it sounded like an actual song. It was in reverse when it came to this. Outside the water, it sounded like a hypnotizing woman's voice, like an actual song. But in the water, it just sounded like whale screech. So I found that interesting. The fact that Ren was walking around, and it looks like she was learning about her environment. She didn't really know how anything was, how it went. She just studied people. When she saw people wearing shoes after she got her foot cut, she actually looked at a pair of shoes and she thought, okay, this is going to protect my feet. When Ben put some clothes on her, she kept the clothes on and was just walking around with no shoes on. And to be honest with you, she looks like she was learning her environment, especially when Maddie kissed Ben. She looked like she was just studying them and trying to figure them out. I love how they did Ren. Like, Ren didn't automatically speak English coming out of the water. She was learning. She learned through a child to say, I am Ren. I love what they did with her. She was just like literally a fish out of water. But she was in an environment that was foreign to her. Just like how someone coming from a different country comes here and can't speak the language. She didn't know anything about the land or who was on it. And I love what they did. And I also love the car scene. The car scene with that creepy guy was trying to pretty much get into Ren's fins, and she tore his throat out, shows how powerful a siren can be and how much they just don't take any mess. She was disgusted by him, and she just pretty much just walked away after that. I thought that was an amazing way to showcase exactly what a siren can do, how dangerous they can be without overdoing it. I think they did an amazing job with Ren, and I'm highly impressed. Now let's go to Xander. Xander seems like he can be a support character that could be a main character going down the line. He does have the same ridiculous cliche as that crazy guy that somehow spouts out all this knowledge that people kind of throw away and consider it to be crazy talk, but there's a lot of truth to it. So it seems like that Xander is going to be the character that's going to probably be foreshadowed to be one of the main characters in either season 2 or season 3 down the line. Now, I am aware that there are 3 seasons of this, but I really feel that Xander is going to be a heavy hitter going down the line. I actually saw in the pilot. So I was somewhat impressed with Xander, but there's a lot of foreshadowing. There's a lot more that we're going to see down the line when it comes to Xander. In my humble opinion, the overall plot of the entire show was actually pretty well paced. I love the encounter that Ben had with Ren. I mean, it was very well done. It was a common trope. Yeah, you find a naked girl in the street. She's pretty much using her legs for the first time, and the fact that she was wobbly and she was like off land and she didn't know how to use her legs, I actually found that to be pretty cute. He would bring her in, put her in the car, put some clothes on her, and then but my question is, okay, where do you get a shirt that size? Did you actually put Maddie's clothes on her? I don't know. Either or. The thing is, when he actually took Ren in, and Ren was just staring at him and just singing that song, that was when it just kind of imprinted on his mind, and you just start to slowly see what it was doing to him. I love the encounter that we had with Ren and Ben. We didn't really see much of anything when it came to Maddie and Ren. Even though Maddie was in the same room, at the time, there really wasn't much going on. There was more of a reaction to the song with Ben than it was with Ren. And Ben was keeping a lot from people. Now, I will say this. Did it make sense for him to tell Xander about what was going on? Because he did tell Xander about what they saw on the boat, but it seems like that he was being pretty secretive. At first, he didn't really believe what was going on. But then when he encountered Ren, in my humble opinion, it was because of the influence of, and I'm not trying to add anything in because I know shows do that these days, the influence of the Siren song. And I like the fact that they actually had that encounter first, because it gives you a perception of what the Siren song can do to a person's mind. Not just a man, but also a woman too, possibly. Now, there was not really much of an encounter with Maddie and Ren yet, but I would not be surprised that down the line there will be. And I'm just going by what I saw in the pilot. It was well done and well executed. The transformation scene for Ren was incredible. I will admit the CGI is a bit hokey at times, especially the scene where Ren was trying to find out where the other siren went, so where she actually touched a net as well as a helicopter to find out what happened to her, or it looked like it was another female siren, because I actually had a chance to see what the siren looked like underwater. So it was another female siren. So she actually touched a few objects, and it actually shows what abilities that sirens might have, that they have some sort of connection, maybe an empathic connection possibly, or more like a telekinetic connection. I don't know. But she has a connection to her own people. So the fact that she actually was able to touch a net as well as touch a helicopter to find out what happened to her, I think was a bit interesting. Kind of gives you an idea on what the sirens can do. The CGI was a bit off, especially in the beginning where we saw the ocean. You can tell that it was CGI, poorly done. As well as the swimming scenes, it was poorly done CGI. I'm not going to ignore that. But I will say the transformation scene for Ren was absolutely incredible. It shows how predatory she can be. The teeth, the fins popping out, her legs we actually saw her legs being folded in and bits of blood like just starting to meld together, like cells coming together to create a fin. I think that was very well done. I liked how the sirens looked like fish people. I liked the transformation, and the fact that she attacked Ben shows you that sirens cannot be fully trusted unless they trust you. So the fact that Ren actually went after Ben and bit off a piece of his neck, I'm like, okay, well done, because she doesn't know who he is yet. She doesn't trust him yet. She's gonna go after him because you're in her place, you're in her waters. She's gonna consider you prey, and she's going to bite the crap out of you. So I honestly think that was a great way that they executed that. But it also shows towards the very end, when Ben decided to go on the boat with Xander, that he is obsessed with finding Ren. And you can tell that the siren song is getting to him, and he possibly could suffer the same fate that his great-great-grandfather did. But it was so interesting how they put it together. The conclusion was done very well. I like what they did with Ren. This is a really good show. I might be interested in doing more reviews about this series down the line, but I want to hear what you guys think. For those that actually have watched Siren, and if I actually spoiled it for you, I'm sorry, but for those that actually has watched all 3 seasons of Siren, let me know what you think about it without any spoilers, because I am interested in going back and watching these shows and possibly doing all the reviews up to season 3. But I want to hear what your thoughts are. But anyway, for the conclusion, I honestly like what they did. It left it a huge cliffhanger. The fact that he had flashes of Ren in his head, it shows that the Siren song kind of set in. He's obsessed with her. Did the harpoon go out and hit anything that was out there? We don't know until the next episode. It was so very well done. And I think I might go back and do some more reviews on this series. But like I said, leave in the comments below what you guys think of the overall show. Please, no spoilers, especially for those who haven't seen season 2 or 3 or finished all of season 1 like me. But either or, y'all, I still want to hear your thoughts. Leave in the comments below. Let me know how you feel. I will see y'all later. Peace out.